It's going down in the courtroom between a Grammy-nominated rapper and his longtime booking manager.
These kids was already like wild and just, Yung Joc, they was growing, having a good time. I'm just like, okay, it's time to turn up. I didn't even do but 3 songs. I got my back end. So when I got to 5, I was like, so where the front end?
Mr. Yung Joc here, he has a celebrity lifestyle, and sometimes money kind of get funny, every now and again, and I just do what I feel like I need to do for Team Us.
I was very upset at first before coming here, but had this not happened, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of your beautiful face today.
Those lines you use on love and hip-hop don't really work here, though. You know that, right?
Plaintiff Yung Joc says he performed at an event, but his booking manager kept half the money without his permission. He's suing for a booking deposit and defamation of character. Defendant Polo Hammond says he doesn't know because he did what was best for his artist and used the money in question for a new project. He's countersuing for money not received in a card game of spades.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Yung Joc versus Polo.
Thank you, Juan. Yung Joc?
Yes, Your Honor.
Which I understand is your stage name, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you are suing the defendant, Polo Hammond, your booking manager?
Yes, I am.
For $6,000 for a booking deposit and defamation of character.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
And you are countersuing, sir, for $1,000 for, really?
Yes, Your Honor.
$1,000 for money not received in a card game of spades?
Hey. It's business.
Okay, so I want to hear the case. So I know who you are. I've heard your music. You are currently a cast member on VH1's Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
But you are a longtime rapper and artist, multi-platinum, and you had a Best Rap song in 2000 that was nominated for a Grammy in 2007, It's Going Down.
That is correct.
You also have 3 Billboard Music Award nominations, and you won a BET Hip Hop Award for 6 nominations, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so I know your background and your history, but now you're here in my court suing your manager. Why don't you tell me what's going on?
Yes, Your Honor. Him. This is Polo.
What happened?
Well, I've been knowing Polo since 2006. After a while, I realized that he was pretty good at dealing with me and the way I kind of handle business or whatnot. And I was like, you know what, I want to give him a shot at, booking my shows or whatnot. And for the most part, he would do a good job. Sometimes he'd get a little sidetracked, but we human.
So things were working well for you for a while?
Yeah,
working with Mr. Polo.
Things was pretty good, except for this one particular incident. He double booked me. It was April
2014, and you say he double booked you for an event?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so tell me about the event that you were booked for.
It was like a Sweet 16. Like I basically, it was a performance, but they paid me my full amount. That was one show.
Okay, which was how much?
$10,000.
Okay.
Then he came, there was a school that called me that wanted to book me. And I was, he had confirmed that they sent a $5,000 deposit. But then he knows how I feel about double bookings, especially when they're not really close proximity to one another.
So where were the 2 shows located?
It was like a 4-hour drive.
But you had a problem being at both in such a close proximity of time?
Well, just things could change when you at a venue. Let's say something happens where they're not ready for the performance to start. Anything can happen.
Okay, so hold on for a second. Let me ask you a question. What do you do for Mr. Joc?
Well, I actually, like you say, I book the shows for him. I make sure the deposit comes in, and I usually pick up the back end once we get to the venue or the date for Mr. Yung Joc.
Are you present at all the shows as well?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and so, but what's the agreement in place between the 2 of you in terms of booking events for him? And when he says he doesn't like to be double booked, what does that mean?
Well, I didn't actually want to double book him.
You didn't want to?
No, I kind of...
You're talking low now, sir. I can't hear you.
I kind of forgot to send back the deposit.
Okay. So
Yeah.
one show was already booked.
Yes, it
and
was.
another came in, and your...
And I let him know, it was like last minute, that he got to do another show.
No.
Okay, so you let him know he had to do another show because he was already booked. It was at the last minute.
it was
Okay.
Yeah.
And has that happened before?
No, it hasn't, Your Honor.
Well, whose fault is that?
I don't think it was a fault thing, but
Okay.
I did the business side of
Approximately
it.
how many shows a month do you book for him?
6 and 8.
6 and 8 shows a month. So he's
Yeah.
somewhere every week.
Every week.
Most performing at clubs
Yes.
and different venues.
Yana, can I say something? He told me he canceled that date. And he also told me that he had sent the money back. So that date was never on my radar.
So when did you find out that it wasn't canceled and you had
I was
to
in
go?
the Sprinter on the way back from another show, from the other show that I had
But the
mentioned.
When they called you and said, hey, you have to be
Not
somewhere
they,
else.
him.
Okay.
Your Honor, we needed the money for a new project. That's what initially, you know, it boiled down to. But I didn't pocket the money or anything. I actually put the money towards a new project, and I actually have evidence on that, Your Honor.
Okay, well, let me
If
see
I can
that. Because
show
why do you
that.
say he owes you, Juan, would you hand that to me? Why do you say he owes you $5,000 if the money was used towards the new
because
project?
by the time I got there, I arrived an hour late, Yana. Something that I never do. That is against my protocol. You know, my name is all I have, and when that's on the line, I try to be prompt as possible. And when I got there, I was already an hour late. By the time I put it like this, by the time I got into the auditorium, these kids was already like wild and just, Young Joc, they was growing, you know, having a good time. I'm just like, okay, it's time to turn up. I go in, I didn't even do but 3 songs. I got my back in. So when I got to 5, I was like, so where the front end?
Okay, so you got $5,000 and you say you were supposed to get
Yeah,
what?
I never got the front end, the deposit, exactly.
Okay, got it. I understand now, which is a total of $10,000.
Correct.
Now I understand. Okay, so what happened to the other $5,000?
That suit he got on.
Coming up, the story of the missing booking deposit gets a little more complicated.
With him being late, what happened? How did you put on the show?
I knew a guy that kind of resembles Mr. Yung Joc.
So you had someone impersonate him, is what you're telling me.
He got a real lookalike.
This isn't you?
That's not me.
Plaintiff Yung Joc says Polo took his money without permission. He's suing for a booking deposit and defamation of character. Defendant Polo Hammond says he doesn't know because the money in question was used to pay for a new project. He's countersuing for money not received in a card game of spades.
This is a screenshot of his Instagram account of an article entitled Yung Joc Discusses New Music Projects, Love and Hip Hop ATL, and Mimi's Sex Tape. What is this evidence of? Because he has new music projects, I'm supposed to infer that $5,000 from this specific gig went towards those new music projects?
Yes,
is that
Your
the
Honor.
best evidence you have?
I mean, that's what I gave you.
A screenshot of his Instagram account.
I mean, that's a new project, Your
I mean,
Honor.
come on, man.
So the fact that he's...
What's the project
What is
called?
it?
He never said anything else when
Sorry,
I set
we have
things
to
up.
connect the dots. What I'm saying is he may be working on new projects, which he is all the time. So every time he's missing money or every time he hasn't been paid something, you think you can say, well, I put it towards a new project?
May I say something?
This is your booking manager?
Yes, I did it for the team, though.
What?
You did it for the
I did
team?
it for the team.
Your Honorable Judge
What
Face, may I say something?
specifically did you spend the $5,000 on? Tell me what project. You thinking too long.
Well, I'm not
Yeah,
thinking too
Polo.
long, just that, you know, I don't have it written down. I didn't bring all that.
But you didn't bring it. Well, you knew you were coming to court. You didn't think you were going to the Grammys today, did you?
Nah, I didn't.
Your Honor, may I say something, please? On his behalf. I feel a little bad because at times he is a little slow. And when I say slow, he's slow to catch up and bring himself up to par when it's time. And I feel like now is the time that he has to understand that he cannot just take money from me.
With him being late, what happened? How did you put on the show?
I knew a guy that kind of resembles Mr. Yung Joc, and who I had working doing a little intern work for me, and I asked him, you know, to step up because Joc was going to be a little late for this second show.
So you had someone impersonate him, is what you're telling me.
Well, see,
Get on the stage and impersonate him.
Not this particular show. See, he done got himself caught up, Your Honor, because that was the other thing I was gonna bring up. I got a call after, you know, he and I fell out about this because he never wanted to pay up the money. We fell out, I kind of parted ways.
Okay.
And then that's when I get a call, and this really like ticked me off. I got a call, and, you know, dude was like, yo, Joc, you know, I kind of got a little something I need to run by you, bro. He's like, you still rocking with Polo? I was like, I mean, you know, me and Polo, we, you know, because I didn't want to say nothing bad about his name, you know what I'm saying? But I just was a little
You wanted
upset.
to put some respect on his name.
I want to put some respect on his name.
Hey,
you feel
man.
me? You feel me?
But
He was undeserving thereof, Your Honor. So what I did was, I said, won't you forward me what you got, bro? So he sends me a picture of this lookalike. He got a real lookalike. I mean,
I was just thinking fast on my feet. I figured
fast on
the
his
show
feet.
had to go on. I mean, no other time he complained about how I put stuff together.
This isn't you?
That's not me.
Wow, it looks just like you. So you have a lookalike. Do people know that you're using a lookalike?
I'm not using, I used.
You used him for one show?
ED, yes, at one time.
What's his name?
Wayne Drano.
Wayne, okay, you know what? That's the individual that our staff contacted after you submitted your papers. Our staff contacted him, and he's here today to testify. Juan, would you bring in Wayne Caesar,
ma'am.
please?
Yana, can I say something?
No, I want Mr. Caesar to come in first, and then we'll talk about it. Oh.
Coming up on Judge Faith, will the real Yung Joc please stand up?
Let me see. Let me see the look.
Man, come on. This guy is supposed to be me.
How do you think people feel about that if they know that that's not really him?
I know, but
It's a tough question, right?
Plaintiff Yung Joc says Polo kept half of a performance fee. He's suing for a booking deposit and defamation of character. Defendant Polo Hammond says he doesn't know because he used the money to promote another Yung Joc project. He's countersuing for money not received in a card game of spades.
I'm sorry, I'm staring at you now because I'm looking at him and I'm looking at you. I understand that. Do you know Mr. Hammond?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and how do you know him?
I met him about 4 years ago at a concert in Virginia. I actually ran into him in the crowd, and I told him how I idoled Yung Joc. I always get compliments that we look alike, and I look up to him. So I told him I wouldn't mind being an intern, working, doing whatever I can, and he actually told me, you do look like him. I'm gonna give you a call. I'm gonna contact you for some work.
Okay, so how did it go from you being an intern to you actually getting on stage pretending that you were Yung Joc?
A couple months later, he called me and told me he needed me to do some work. He was gonna give me $500 for it. I said, okay.
And what did he ask you to do?
He asked me to come on stage and tell a couple jokes, do a couple snippets for songs.
Of Yung Joc's songs?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay, and you submitted video you want me to see today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, let's take a look at that. Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times have you done this?
one time, Your Honor. One
Once?
show in Mississippi, that was it.
Where was that?
Georgia?
Do you still work for him? You're still interning?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you go over and stand next to Yung Joc? I want to see the resemblance here. I want to see what it's really like.
Like, really.
And is that what you do? You put on a hat and glasses, and people actually think. Let me see. Let me see the look.
So you gonna just put... Man, come on. This guy is supposed to be me? I mean,
You have sunglasses? You have
yeah,
glasses?
I got
Let
me
me
some
see.
too. Let me see.
Okay. I mean, if it's dark, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
If
show
it's
one.
dark and they're at a concert,
Clearly, he's not as fly as me, Your Honor.
thank you, Mr. Caesar. Thank you. Have a seat.
Okay.
Okay. You see what side of the room he chose to sit on. I just want you to know that. Okay. I'm just kidding. So if it's dark and you're at a concert and you're performing with a hat and sunglasses on, and you say you're a fan, you know all the lyrics to the songs, probably the movements too, I can see how someone could be fooled for a short while, and that's what you did, right? When you went out on stage, people were saying, what were they saying, Yung Joc?
Yeah, they was chanting his name, and
And you were loving every minute of it,
I
weren't
got
you?
pumped up, and
You got pumped up. You got really into it,
I
right?
got pumped up. What?
Yeah, yeah. How do you think people feel about that if they know that that's not really him?
I know, but
It's a tough question, right?
you're right, Your Honor.
Because you know that's not the right thing to do.
I definitely kind of, I kind of feel a little bad, but you know, I made it work.
Okay, so
what I do.
I just want to be clear. This particular event You paid him $500 to get on stage while you were buying time for Yung Joc to get there, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
When he got there, he was only paid $5,000, which is the back end. He wasn't paid the front end of the contract. Do you have a copy of the contract, by the way? Let me just take a look at it. Okay, thank you. Okay, so it was $10,000 plus the rider requirements.
Yes.
Oh, this is interesting. Your rider is very interesting. 10 bottles of chilled water, 4 Red Bulls, 1 large platter of wings, fried fish, shrimp, and French fries.
It depends on the type of venue and the type of function that's taking place, Your Honor. And honestly, I was very upset at first before coming here, but had this not happened, then I wouldn't be suing my longtime friend. And if I wasn't suing my longtime friend, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of your beautiful face today.
Okay, well. Those lines you use on love and hip hop don't really work here, though. You know that, right?
Well, you know, I'm just trying to seal the deal.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
You're countersuing for $1,000 for money you say he owes you from a game of spades.
Yeah,
Did you not pay him from a game of spades?
I lost, but he really was talking very disrespectful to me in the midst of me losing, and I didn't think that was very sportsmanlike.
That's what people do when they play spades. They talk trash.
Yeah, not when you owe me $5,000 already that you slick took. You supposed to be a little more humble. But you know what, bro? I hit you for that little band, but you know what? Don't even sweat it, bro. We're gonna just etch that out. You know what I'm saying? He could have did any of that. He got up talking junk, Snapchatting it, putting it all on his social media, and people hit me like, pay him. Like I'm doing something wrong, and I just didn't think it was fair. So, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go on and do what I need to do so I can go stand in front of the Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins.
No, man.
Thank you, sir. Okay, here's what I can enforce, which is the contract that's in front of me, which was $10,000, which he only got $5,000 of, and you have no proof besides this Instagram post as to what this other $5,000 went to.
And
I see, no, Mr. Hammond, this is not the moment to interrupt me.
Yes, ma'am.
You also used a lookalike, and you didn't discuss this with him in advance. That wasn't the right thing for you to do. So it's a breach of contract issue. The $5,000 that you have no proof was put towards new projects, you have to pay him. So you owe him the $5,000. Your counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff, $5,000.
Thank you so much. See, when I came here today, I told the judge, put a check on my name. Cause this clown back here in this blue suit need to put some respect on my name.
I didn't misplace any money. I put it towards a project, a lot of money to get. Anyways, but yeah, I'm glad it's over with, you know what I'm saying, and we can get back to work.
A rap artist manager and a Dallas-based music producer come to court over missing music files.
It got to a point where I was not hearing from him weeks at a time. So I called the studio and tried to have the studio give me my music.
It was like a headache going, every time I receive a payment from him.
He's saying he didn't get everything he did in the session.
Right.
Well, why does he have to ask? Why don't you just send him everything?
Plaintiff Terrence Bennett says the defendant promised to make his artist song a big hit, but then stopped returning his calls. He is suing for studio time and master recordings. Defendant Howard Moore says he doesn't know because he did the work he promised, and Terrence has been provided with everything he paid for.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Bennett versus Moore.
Thank you, Juan. Terrence Bennett,
Yes, ma'am.
you are suing the defendant Howard Moore
Yes.
for $2,200 for studio time and master recordings.
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you start from the beginning and tell me what happened?
Well, I met Mr. Moore mid-April. I managed a rap artist. We were in the studio.
How long have you been doing that work?
That was my first
He was your first client?
client. And like I said, I met Mr. Moore, mid-April. He came in, my artist was recording, and Mr. Moore was enjoying his music. He thought that, hey, you know what, this song, I can put that, and I can do the mixing, the mastering. I can record all of that and do that for free at my studio.
So he was offering to do this one song for free to just start a relationship with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, why don't you give me some background on you, sir?
I actually engineer and produce music.
How long have you been in that business?
I've been in the business almost 15 years, but actually producing about 5 years. I've worked with some talented national artists such as Mike Jones.
Okay, so you show up to the studio, do you hear him? He's rapping, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So you hear his work, and what do you think?
I thought it was awesome. I actually, you know, I was pleased by his work. Okay. And like he said, I did say I will record and mix one song for free.
Okay.
Just to get some business, you know.
So then you go and you do the free session?
Well, he wanted me to book time with him.
Right, but that's after you have the conversation about the free session,
No,
right?
ma'am. We had the conversation before I was a free session. So I was.
But you
under
never
pressure.
got the free session, is what you're saying?
Never got the free sessions. He told me first that in recording in his studio, the prices go up. He was going to charge me $60, but the original verbal agreement that we agreed upon was that $60 per hour was going to include mix and mastering.
Nah.
There's nothing in writing, right?
No, man, this was a verbal agreement.
So you understand now the importance of having these things in writing because it's one person's word against another?
Indeed. So we swept that under the rug, and I agreed to go ahead and stick with the $60 an hour. I saw a bigger studio, saw a better opportunity. Thought it was gonna be better quality music. And
how many studio sessions did you pay him for?
I paid him for, I think it was a total of 4 to 5 sessions.
Okay, because that's what you're suing for. You're suing for the sessions that you paid him for. So 4 to 5 sessions at $60 an hour?
Yes, ma'am.
You're suing him for that. Why?
In order to get it copyrighted, we have to have the recorded music.
Where's the music? So you never got any of the music from your recording sessions?
No, we got a few drop cuts, but he didn't send everything over.
Where's the music, sir?
He has the music. It's all we use. What I use to communicate with is Dropbox, and it has date stamps and everything. He has all the MP3s. He has all the WAV files. There's 2 different versions of music when you record.
So you're not holding anything back
Nothing.
that he recorded in your
He
session?
has it all.
Nothing.
I have it all on my phone.
And you say you don't have it?
I have a few of the songs. I don't have all of the songs.
What do you say you're missing?
I'm missing 2 songs.
Out of how many?
Out of 10.
He already has them. He's connected with that Dropbox. All he has to go in there and look at it. If he pull his phone up, I don't know if he has a smartphone or whatever, he can look at it. Me and him sharing that. Only him and I can only see
He has
that.
access to that
Yeah,
Dropbox?
he has access to the Dropbox.
So why are you saying that you never received it?
When was the
You're
date
on the
set?
Dropbox?
When was the date
See, that's
set?
why I'm not gonna do this. He said he doesn't have it, so I'm gonna, today before you leave, I wanna make sure and I want you to show one that you've sent him those 2 songs. I'm not gonna go back and forth about who has him not having access and why. So, so those 2 songs you say you don't have, you're gonna get them today.
Coming up, were the music files being held hostage for money?
So I called the studio trying to come pick up my music. Oh, Howard Moore owe us money. So until we get our money or you get a judge to summon this, we're not giving you anything.
I don't trust what you said in court here today.
Plaintiff Terrence Bennett says Howard didn't finish the job. He is suing for studio time and master recordings. Defendant Howard Moore says he doesn't owe because he completed the work.
What is next, sir?
Well, we had to go re-record everything. I paid him all this money.
Why? You said you were only missing 2 songs.
Well, we needed those are dry cuts. I needed those songs to be sent to get a mix and master.
Okay.
And because we can't do anything, just dry cuts is just for the legal things.
I
as far as
understand that, but
copyright.
why is he responsible for mastering? Did you pay him for mastering?
We started to pay. I paid him a portion.
How much?
I paid him $140. Yes.
How much per song was he charging you for mastering?
I think he was charging $40 per song.
And you say that he did not master a single song for you, and you paid him $140.
Yes, ma'am.
To master 3 songs. What happened, sir?
I told him, I sent him the text. I said, hey, up front, for my workers, my guys to get started, I need $540.
To start mastering,
Start mastering
8 or 10 songs.
Right. And he only sent me $140 through a credit card, of course, where I had to actually transfer that to my PayPal and pay my guys out of my PayPal account.
Well, let's talk about the mastering. He paid you $140 for the mastering?
Just get started. That wasn't even to get started. The whole payment should have been he was supposed to pay me $540.
Well, okay, I understand that wasn't the whole payment, but he paid you $140.
Right. Hey,
so what happened to mastering the song?
I didn't even start on it because it wasn't even, my guys weren't going to even start working on it.
So he gets that $140 back, right?
Right.
Why,
Well, yeah,
so why
that's why I
haven't you
agreed
given
to
him that back?
I agreed to pay him that $140 back.
He agreed to pay me $105.
So why are you suing for $1,000 for that? You said you got 8 songs out of the 10.
Well, I didn't want to do business with him anymore. I got 8 songs dry cut. And if I'm doing business with him and mix and mastering, I don't need nothing but the dry cuts. But if I'm not getting him to do my mix and mastering for me, we need the whole broken down files. That's what I was trying to retrieve from him. So I called the studio and tried to have the studio give me my music. Because I couldn't, it got to a point where I was not hearing from him weeks at a time. So I called the studio. They had no recollect of who I was and what I was talking about. I mentioned Howard Moore. Oh, Howard Moore owed us money. He only paid us $200 for y'all studio time. So until we get our money or you get a judge to summon this, we're not giving you anything.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
That's not true.
He's saying he didn't get everything he did in the sessions.
Right. He did get everything. Every time we record, he get the MP3 every night.
I mean, I don't understand. You saying you're uploading these files to Dropbox. Is he not communicating with you that that's
Ma'am,
not
I
the
can show you my
preferred
phone
way?
right now where I was texting him day after day, and I wasn't receiving anything back from him. And he said that he was responding back to me. And even if you go before that, but we could just
This
go
guy
right
switched
there.
numbers on me twice. Switched numbers on me twice.
Well, do you have he's writing you, pull up your text messages from June of 2015, because he's writing you and you're not responding to him, and he's asking you what's going on. How's the mixing going? How's the music going? And for 4 days in a row, he texts you, hit me up, haven't heard from you in days. The next day he writes, what's going on with the tracks? You write back, I promise I will call you when I get off. I'm going to refund you your money and send the rest of the tracks. Too much going on in my life. Sir, this is what you tell him. You tell him you're gonna give his money back because you're not doing the work. The work isn't getting done, and you wanna move on with your life at this point. And he replies back, eventually, that they're going on to get the tracks done somewhere else because you're not responding to them. And you clearly know that they don't have all the files they need based on the text messages. I was going to order you to turn over a hard drive with the files, but I don't trust what you said in court here today. I don't trust that you still have access to them in this studio. And based on these text messages, you told him that you would refund his money. I don't know if that meant something had happened between you and the studio owner at that point and you knew it, and you knew you couldn't go back and get access to these sessions, but immediately he's been texting you 4 or 5 days, and your first response is, I'm going to refund you your money. So you know what, that's what you're gonna do. I'm ordering you to pay the plaintiff $1,000 for the time he spent in the studio, in addition to the studio time he had to spend getting the tracks re-recorded. Judgment in this case for the plaintiff, $1,000.
I believe he did try to take advantage of me because I am new to the industry. Big fish try to eat the little fish.
I'm gonna notate everything that I have done with an artist, make sure that they pay me right the first time.
Judge Faith, a go-go dancer, and her BFF face off with a strip club bouncer they say tried to put herself between them.
As I was dancing, she comes up to the stage and starts going off. So she got mad. She's like, you've known me this long and you're just gonna pick her over me.
I was getting played hard, and I found out they was messing with guys for money, so I left the whole situation alone. I don't even be at the club no more.
And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, when those Harriet Tubman 20s come out, I don't wanna hear about y'all making it rain in the strip club with those $20 bills. Do not disrespect Mother Tubman like that.
Plaintiff Nyasha Bryant says the defendant kicked her car in a fit of rage and promised to pay for the damage. She's suing for car damages and related fees. She's accompanied in court today by her best friend, Zakia Poteet. Defendant Kayla Martin says she doesn't owe any money because Nyasha was playing her hard and provoked the attack.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Bryant versus Martin.
Thank you, Juan. Nyesha Bryant,
Ma'am.
you are suing the defendant, Kayla Martin,
Yes, ma'am.
for $1,009 you say she owes you for car damages and related fees.
Yes, ma'am.
And I understand you brought a witness with you today, Zakia Poteet.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So why don't we start with you, Ms. Bryant? Tell me how you know the defendant and what happened.
I met Kayla back in November of 2015. We were working at a club in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Doing what?
It's a strip club.
Okay.
She was a security guard, and Zakia and I both thought she was a really cool person, so we got to know her.
And what were you doing at the club?
Dancing.
Strippers.
I don't strip. I'm a go-go dancer, ma'am. There's a
Stripper.
difference
Okay.
between
All the
stripping
way
and
to
go-go
the
dancing.
Do you know how this works? When I ask her a question, she's answering it, and you're quiet. Okay? So what are you doing at the club?
A go-go dancer.
Okay, and there's a difference between a go-go dancer and
And
a
a stripper.
Okay, what's the difference?
A stripper makes excessive amounts of money, and they go nude.
Okay.
I don't go nude, because in the state of North Carolina, if a club sells alcohol, you cannot be nude. They will get fined for it.
But you are not a stripper, you are a go-go dancer.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a difference.
Okay.
So we became really good friends. My best friend and her end up dating, and problems end up revolving around it.
Okay, but all three of you are friends?
Yes.
And you're all working at the club together?
Yes.
And you're saying that she was also a stripper?
Yes, both of them.
Okay, but you don't make a distinction between strippers and go-go dancers?
They was fully nude.
Okay. How old are you guys?
I'm
You're-
22.
Okay, and you're what, 23?
22.
Okay, go ahead.
So I get a phone call from Zakia asking me about her son. Did I say anything about her toddler son? Of course, I got riled up, and I started arguing with her, like asking her why would she say some stuff like that.
Were you telling your girlfriend, her best friend, things about her when she wasn't around?
No, Jakia was actually crying to me, telling me things what Nyesha, that's
Okay.
a stripper named Jersey, was telling her.
And so that's how this relationship started going downhill, because you guys think that the other one is talking behind someone else's back, right?
Yes.
When did the two of you break up?
Around January time, end of January, February.
Okay, and the three of you have not been friends since the breakup.
Right, because
What
they
was the
played me
reason for
hard.
the breakup?
It's because the whole situation that happened. Like,
the car.
she basically just felt like she needed to protect me because we were together. But I wasn't okay
Protect
with
you
that.
from what?
From, I guess, her saying the things that she was saying.
Okay.
So she felt like, okay, well, you're my girlfriend, so I feel like I should have a reason to say something.
Okay.
But-
Do you all still work at the club, the same club?
No.
No, I don't.
Do you still work there, the two of you?
Occasionally.
And you don't?
No, I don't work there.
And what happened to your job at the club?
Well, I left because I was getting played hard, and I found out they was messing with guys for money. Well, I was told, rumors, you know. And so I left the whole situation alone. I don't even be at the club no more.
That's
Okay.
not true.
Okay, all right. So now we're here. You're suing. You say she damaged your car.
Yes.
It was over $1,000 worth of damage. How did we get to that point where there's property damage?
I was at work, and Kayla comes up to the club, and as I'm performing my stage set, she comes up there, and she says, I ought to pull you off the stage right now. And I'm just ignoring her.
What is it about? You have to know something's
Because
going on.
earlier that day, we were texting, and I told her to keep my name out her mouth, and I have all those messages here for you. And
that's all you said?
No,
Keep
and
your
I told
name?
her she can go with her dead mother. I'm not gonna lie, I said that.
Coming up on Judge Faith, text messages tell the rest of the story.
You say, kill me then, B, and you say, F your dead mother, now you can pull up. What do you expect to happen?
Plaintiff Nyesha Bryant says Kayla promised to pay for the damage. She's suing for car damages and related fees. Defendant Kayla Martin says she doesn't know because Nyesha provoked her by talking poorly about her deceased mother.
You told her she can go be with her dead mother.
Yes.
And so you know why she's at the club then.
That was before, we had squashed it before, we both apologized to each other.
That
And
day?
That day,
So
yes,
she
ma'am.
shows up angry about what? Did she apologize to you that day
No.
for saying that?
No, she didn't. She actually said, F my dead mother. And Jakia was a witness because...
May I see the text messages? When did your mother pass away?
2014,
So that was recent.
yes.
So she shows up at the club and what happens?
She's arguing with me, but I'm not paying her any attention. I'm just laughing because I'm at work. So she got mad. She's like, you've known me this long and you're just gonna pick her over me. She left, she's like, now go outside and check your car.
And did you go outside and check your car?
No, I finished, because at the end of the day, I'm at work.
And you're mid-routine. I understand. So did you do anything to her car?
I kicked the car.
Oh, so you admit you kicked her car?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
Because she kept pushing buttons by saying stuff about my mother. And that really hurt because I'm still grieving, you know, about my mom passing.
So here are the text messages. You tell her you can kindly go with your mother. She'll love to have you with her. And then you say, kill me then, B. And you say, F your dead mother too, B. Now you can pull up. What do you expect to happen when you tell someone whose mother recently passed away, F your dead mother?
And I own up to what I did wrong. And I'm an adult, and I admit to what I did.
Well, you're suing her $4,000 for kicking your car. You don't think you bear any responsibility for provoking a fight in this situation?
First of all, I did not provoke a fight.
Yes, you did.
If you look back at the messages before this incident even expired, she called me the B word, told me I'm a molly head, start just going off.
You say your car was damaged. Show me the estimate, proof of your damages. Too much drama going on between you young ladies over nothing, over nonsense. Too much drama. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, when those Harriet Tubman 20s come out, I don't want to hear about y'all making it rain in the strip club with those $20 bills. Do not disrespect Mother Tubman like that. You're suing for $828 in damages to your truck. Let me see the photo of the damages. $828 seems like a lot for the dent that I see on your car. But second of all, more importantly, you bear some responsibility in this. You can't pick a fight with someone, provoke someone to the level that you did. And I understand there was some back and forth, but obviously you went there with her, right? You want to talk about her dead mother, and then she pulls up. You told her to pull up, she pulls up, and now you want to sue her? Since I find that you bear some responsibility in what happened, I'm speaking now. You are not. We're not at the strip club. I'm not your mama, and I'm not your sister.
And I never said you was. And I'm not a stripper.
I didn't say you were a stripper. I said we're not at the strip club. I understand you've made it very clear to me you are a go-go dancer. I get it. But you bear some responsibility in this too. I'm gonna order you to pay the plaintiff $500 and you pay the remainder. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. Since you bear responsibility, you're gonna split the costs. Judgment for the plaintiff, $500.
I felt that the judge's ruling was good because at the end of the day, I did tell her she can go with her dead mother, and I did provoke it in a kind of way, and I'm an adult to say that I did, but at the end of the day, you kicked my car.
I feel like the judge's ruling was fair. They split it both ways, and I'm okay with it.
The owner of the Atlanta Legends semi-pro basketball team confronts a former player in court over unpaid bills after he was cut from the team.
I could have been overseas playing for Italy.
Your Honor, Italy would not take that. We call him LeJohnson Shane.
So what happened with that contract? You turned it down?
And later, Judge Faith asks NBA legend Jim Jackson to offer insight on the testimony.
Everybody can't play in the NBA. Everybody can't be a star. But what you can do is take those little steps and have a great career overseas, make a lot of money, and take care of your family.
Let me ask you, because you feel that you're so good, you want to be paid. You want to be compensated. Is anyone on the team compensated?
Plaintiff Tonio Mateo says the defendant failed to pay back the money he was loaned to join the Atlanta Legends semi-pro team. He's suing for unpaid basketball fees and basketball shoes. He's accompanied in court today by Jermaine Barnes. Defendant Philton Johnson Jr. says he doesn't know because Tony wanted him for the team, so he offered to pay the expenses. He's countersuing for unpaid wages.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Amateo versus Johnson.
Thank you, Juan. Tony Amateo?
Yes, Your Honor.
You are suing the defendant Philton Johnson Jr.?
Yes, Your Honor.
for $514.
Yes, Your Honor.
$300 of that is for registration fees for a semi-pro basketball team that you started, and $214 of that is for basketball shoes.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're countersuing, sir, for $900 for unpaid wages.
Yes, Your Honor.
We'll start with you, Mr. Amateo. Give me some background. How do you know the defendant?
Well, I met the defendant, LeBron James, Philton Johnson, in 2004 in college at the Fort Valley State University in Georgia. Ironically, we actually met on the basketball court, and being that we shared the same passion for the game, you know, we naturally clicked. I moved back to Atlanta, and I purchased a team.
What team, sir?
The Atlanta Legends, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And the defendant asked me if he could play.
He asked me to play, Your Honor.
Being that I knew him before and the talent that he once possessed, I figured, you know, no problem. But when he got there, he just wasn't the same person that I knew.
Give me some background on you. How long have you been playing basketball?
I've been playing ball all my life, since age 5, actually. But you know what, when I met this guy, when we were playing basketball at Fort Valley State University, he had a horrific knee injury. When he fell, I saw him, I said, man, look at him. He's crying, grown man crying. So I went over there, I helped him out, and we became friends. Became best friends, of course. So, you know, went through college, everything was good.
What about your basketball career? Where did you start playing?
Well, I actually started as a youth. I used to play AAU basketball. And from there, I didn't play in high school. I went on to college to the University of Georgia, 2001-2002 season. And my freshman year, I was playing ball, and the UJ coach, he saw me, he said, come here, son. I want you to play for me. All right, cool. So things were going well.
Who was the coach then?
Coach Jim Harrick.
Okay.
But at that time, he was fired. And before they could submit the, the final roster, of course, I was left off because I wasn't on scholarship with the new coach. Go figure.
But eventually you start playing again, and the two of you reconnect, and you say that he asked you to be a part of the team?
Yes, Your Honor, he did.
Tell me about that conversation.
We bumped into each other playing ball. He called me Johnson. He said, Johnson, hey, man, I don't have nobody on the team who can provide consistent scoring or lockdown defense. He knows that's what I do. Am I not correct? So I said, yeah, man, I'll play, man. I'll play on your team. But I said, wait, hold on. Does it cost?
May I speak, Your Honor?
He said, yes, it costs $150 registration fee. I don't have it, man. I don't have any money. So he said, hey, you know what? I'll pay it for you. Matter of fact, you don't have to even try out. I didn't have to try out.
You just walked right on the team?
Exactly.
What position? Playing what position?
Score. That's all you want me to do. Go in, score, lock down the best defensive player.
That is not a position.
That's it.
Okay.
It's right. I don't have a position. I go in and do what I have to do.
You didn't have a, so you just...
This is what we've been dealing with.
Just shoot the ball.
Guard.
This is what we've been dealing with.
Does he still play for the team now?
No.
Yes,
Why?
I do.
What happened was...
Wait, hold on a second. You say he does not play for the team?
He's been kicked off the team.
Is that true? Did you know you were kicked off the team?
No, I didn't.
If you
I just found out right now.
You just found out now that you've been kicked off the team?
I can break it down for you chronologically. What happened was, in 2014, I made the first payment of $150 for him. I told him I was going to need that back by the end of the season. However, he fell upon financial hardships, and about September of the next year, he lost his job. So he asked me if he could stay with myself and my brother. We let him move in, and I could see that he was kind of going through it. So he asked me again if he could play, and I was kind of leery based off of the last time, but this time I said, we're going to make this happen. However, you're going to have to pay me $50 per month.
To do what?
Pay me back for the registration fees. So I actually got him a job as a forklift operator in December. So in January, he made the first payment of $50.
Okay.
February, I got nothing. In March, we had to part.
You did make a $50 payment
Yes,
to
I
him?
did. Yes, at the beginning of this year.
So why would you do that if you didn't owe him any money for registration?
We did make a verbal agreement about the registration the first year.
But you didn't pay for the entire first year. He's only suing you for 2 seasons. So the first season, you agreed to pay back the $150 for the first season. You only paid $50.
Yes, ma'am.
Well,
Okay, because before you told me that wasn't the agreement at all, that he sought you out to play on the team because he wanted you to just score.
Coming up, the basketball league is discussed in more detail.
I was in Taiwan. When I found out it was him, I had to come back. He basically ruined everything they had. They were a really, really strong team.
Hi, I'm Judge Faith. Follow me on Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Plaintiff Tony Omateo says Philton knew the money was a loan. He's suing for unpaid basketball fees and basketball shoes. Defendant Filton Johnson Jr. says he doesn't know because Tony offered to pay the expenses. He's countersuing for unpaid wages.
You say he owes you for shoes as well?
Yes, ma'am.
What about that?
He was embarrassing us with the shoes that he had on. And
Y'all just go for the jugular in this case. You don't hold anything back, do you?
I apologize then. His shoes they were a little bit unkempt.
Okay.
And they didn't match what the team had going on. I do have my receipt right here for the shoes.
Did he buy you the shoes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I didn't ask for them.
And what was the agreement with the shoes?
The same agreement. I was going to need to be reimbursed for it. I told him, you know, I know you. Everybody else doesn't know you. You don't want these people coming here to see you looking like this. We can't sell a product with you out here with shoes that you cut the grass in. So.
He sounds just like the guy. Hey, when I moved in with his brother, I mean, he tried to make a side deal. I mean, his brother said, hey, you can stay here rent-free. This guy says, no, you have to buy groceries, you know what I'm saying, for the house. I'm like, wow.
No, he didn't go there, did he?
Yeah, he did.
You had to buy groceries.
Yeah. So
where you
I'm
live.
like, okay, I'll go buy groceries. I don't want no trouble.
Was he being unreasonable asking you to buy groceries?
This guy has OCD, okay? If I vacuum the floor, if the lines aren't straight, he has a problem with it. I wash the dishes, put it in the drainer. If they're not lined up, he has a problem with it. Only females act like that.
Really?
That's the way I see it.
What is that supposed to mean?
Hey, very particular.
Tell me about this.
Very particular.
Tell me about how females act.
I'm already washing the dishes. I'm doing the best that I can.
Your Honor, the
And when I
dishes
put
that
it
he
in
washed
the
were his
drainer,
own.
this is the best that you gonna go behind me and just say, that's not right, that's not right. What do you mean?
Were you doing that? Were you
That guy.
micromanaging his dishwashing?
I did not. We had a specific set of rules. Don't come in after certain hours. My brother is a school teacher.
Okay.
So he has to be asleep so he can get up and teach.
Oh, man.
Don't come in all hours of the night. We don't want too much different types of company over here. I don't know the people that you deal with.
I have no idea.
Clean up after
breaking all those
yourself.
rules? He was breaking all
Clean
those
up after
rules?
yourself.
I have no idea
He
what
was,
he's
Your Honor.
talking about. I carry the team. He knows the truth. I'm the man. Clearly. I'm like the 37-year-old LeBron James, clearly.
Your Honor.
I did the same thing that he did with his team to that team.
Your Honor.
Clearly.
You made it
Your
happen.
Honor, believe it.
Your Honor.
You know what?
Hey, these guys believe in me. Believe that.
What kind of player was he?
He's a washed up.
Really?
I,
Are you just saying that now because you're
No.
upset with him?
I mean, I have video evidence. If you
That
would
he's
like to
washed
see it.
up?
Yeah.
Video evidence that he's washed up?
I do have video
Let me see the
You know
video.
what? He's delirious right now.
I want to see the video.
He's saying all these things.
I need you to be
really?
quiet.
Oh.
This is his evidence. I want to see the video.
Here we have a fast break play. I'm on the other side, and as you can see, he got a shot blocked, and we had to replace the ball. So there was actually a little bit of a delay. Here's him playing no defense, and here he is just giving the ball away to the other team. Look at him. That's the best play he made all season, the deflection out of bounds. This was his best game.
I carried the team to the playoffs.
He actually went on Instagram with the hashtag #BeLegendary after this game. He did.
Who are you, sir? Can you step up? Okay, who are you?
My name is Jermaine Barnes.
Are you a member of the Atlanta Legends as well?
No, I own the entire league. I started it. I'm the founder. He purchased his franchise in my league. So it would be like the NFL, he's the Atlanta Falcons. I own the NFL.
Okay.
So he bought the franchise from me to give these guys opportunities to move on to the next level. So I have the connections all over the world. So I'm in communication with all the countries, and they call me and say, Mr. Barnes, we need a point guard. He tells me he had a point guard. I come to watch whatever that was. And
So he wanted you to come see him. He thought he was good.
yeah, I mean, but they were close friends at the time. You know, he was really trying to help him. And, you know, that's how Mr. Mateo is.
Well, did you
know?
see the talent there?
The first couple of times I seen him play, I would say he had something. When it came to official games, it was another story.
Okay.
I mean,
But I clearly
felt like
made
it was
the playoffs every year since I joined the team.
Man, we call him Le Johnson Shane.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I did what I was supposed to do. I played my contract.
And the team made the playoffs every year you were with them, and
every
prior to
year.
that they didn't?
And what I had to do every game was guard the best player.
On average, how many points would you score in a game?
I go in about 3 minutes and score as much as I can.
Man.
On
score
average.
as much as I can.
And on average, what is as
On
much
average,
as you
I would
can?
say about 20.
20?
Yeah.
Okay.
Judge Faye.
And I don't play as much as everybody else. I go in, do what I'm asked, come back out.
Judge
That's
Faye,
it.
I was in Taiwan. He called me to fly me in for this case. So I'm trying to explain to you, when I found out it was him, I had to come back. That's how ridiculous this is. I'm telling you, the type of players he has on his franchise, I know these guys personally because I played against them. He has ex-NBA players, ex-European players, and he basically ruined everything they had. They were a really, really strong team.
Well, let me ask you, because you feel that you're so good, your talent took them to the next level.
Exactly.
You're countersuing because you want to be paid. You want to be compensated.
Yes,
Is anyone on the team compensated?
I don't know about the other guys.
Are they?
No one is compensated.
So why are you countersuing for compensation now?
For lost wages, clearly.
What wages? If you never earned any wages, what have you lost?
Clearly, I could have been overseas playing for Italy, but I stayed loyal to my guy right here.
Really?
I was loyal to this guy to stay here and play.
Did Italy call you?
Yeah, I did have a contract to play overseas.
Nobody called
Really? So
how would he know?
Hold on a second.
How would this guy know?
And so what happened with that contract? You turned it down?
Yes.
Because you wanted to be loyal to the Atlanta Legends?
I love the game, but I also have responsibilities here, so I decided to stay
Probably
here.
took the job that I got him.
Coming up on Judge Faith, friend of the court, NBA legend Jim Jackson provides expert insight.
I did grow up with somebody who had the same kind of attitude. It was them, they were the man, it was their team, and they kind of disrupted everything we did.
Plaintiff Tony Omateo says the money he gave Filton was a loan. He's suing for unpaid basketball fees and basketball shoes. Defendant Filton Johnson Jr. says he doesn't owe because Tony recruited him and offered to pay expenses. He's countersuing for unpaid wages.
So this is an interesting case, the first that I've had in my courtroom dealing with the issues surrounding playing in a semi-pro league and that league being an opportunity for someone to play overseas. So I asked a friend of mine to come and provide me with some insight today. He played in the NBA for 14 years. He was selected 4th overall in the draft for the NBA when he played. His last season was in 2006 when he played with the Lakers. He was the last player to wear number 24 before Kobe Bryant. So I have Jim Jackson with us today. Jim is currently on air for Fox Sports, providing analysis for Fox Sports. Thank you for being here.
Got it.
So you've had an opportunity to listen to the testimony here today. And what do you think about what you've heard from Mr. Johnson about playing in the semi-pros and this opportunity that he's been provided with?
I mean, it's funny because I read the case files, and I understand how a lot of it works. When you're playing in a league where you're not going to get paid, you're committed to doing something. I look at what you're saying about having offers to Italy, having some financial problems, but yet and still you stay. It just doesn't make sense. I've known people that played in semi-pro, prime example, got an opportunity to go play overseas, have a great career, take care of their families, and then if you get a chance to go to the NBDL, get a look by the league, is great. But at the same time, everybody can't play in the NBA. Everybody can't be a star. But what you can do is take those little steps and have a great career overseas, make a lot of money, and take care of your family.
He's countersuing for compensation, although there's no agreement that he be compensated. And oftentimes there are players who they think they're the star and that could impact the dynamics of the team.
Right.
Have you ever played with anyone like that?
Fortunately for me in the league, I didn't have to play with anybody like that. But I did grow up with somebody who had the same kind of attitude in regards to it was them, they were the man, it was their team, and they kind of disrupted everything we did. Because I've seen it all the time, and I've seen it from different players who played on different teams, where you had one player in particular who thought that the team was there. Then everything they did was surrounded by them, and that's not always the case. You didn't even know how many points you averaged, but yet still you the score. And I'm gonna go back to the point of countersuing. When you signed up, you knew you wasn't gonna get paid. So now all of a sudden, you wanna go through and countersue when you signed a contract knowing you wasn't gonna get paid and nobody else was getting paid. It just doesn't add up to me.
What do you think about what Mr. Amateo did in terms of fronting money for his players, for registration fees for 2 years in a row, basketball shoes? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it came from a friend perspective. I don't know if he would have did it if he really didn't know Mr. Johnson well enough to respect his talent and bring him in and say, hey, listen, I understand you're going through some tough times, but man, take care of this, but all I want you to do is take care of me at the end of the day. Definitely. And that's it. And not only that, he did it once, he did it twice, and then he got the shoes too. So really, at the end of the day, it's like, listen, brother, all I want you to do is to respect and honor your commitment to paying me back. because I looked out for you when you needed it. And that's a tough thing to do, but as an owner, a lot of times, you gotta step up and do that.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
I have to say, despite the video footage you submitted today, you said that was his best game. I have to say, I think that you wanted him to play for the team because he was good.
It wasn't about him being
However,
great,
there's
Your Honor.
bad blood between the two of you now, and you don't want to compliment him in any way. I understand
Your
it.
Honor, that's not
But
the case.
I think he's better than what was depicted on the edited footage that you submitted to the court today. However, not so good that you get to be compensated when that wasn't the agreement in the beginning. By the way, you only think you're worth $900? That's what you're asking for in compensation? You're so great, you call yourself the 37-year-old LeBron James, but it's only worth $900.
Yeah, I don't want to hurt the man's pocket. Just to say, hey, man, you trying to do this to me, this is what I want.
$900.
This is what I want.
Okay,
right
well, that's
here.
dismissed.
Yeah.
Your $900 is dismissed. But what I do find is that you owe for the registration fees minus $50 because he paid $50, right?
Yes,
So
he
the
did.
amount is only $250 in addition to the basketball shoes. I do not believe that those shoes were a gift. I think that your friend was looking out for you when he helped you with the shoes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming all the way from Taiwan and offering your testimony. I understand it was important for you to set the record straight here. I appreciate you all being here. I wish you all the best in your basketball careers going forward. I think it's great that you're doing something that you enjoy outside of your day jobs and what you do for a living. So congratulations on that. $464 judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you. I'm not going to give up on people, but I have to start choosing a little more wisely. Picking people who may be really who they say they are.
It is what it is. He's still my friend. We're still going to play together. We're still going to do what we got to do to get these wins and promote the league.
A Los Angeles BMW owner claims the auto shop that repaired his car caused even more damage after leaving it out in a heavy rain with the trunk open.
I dropped the car off on a Friday. Everything was perfectly functional. When I picked it up on Tuesday, there were these problems with it from the moment I was trying to drive it off.
Those kind of cars never outside.
Those kinds of cars, meaning like a BMW, for example? But Juan's car, you leave his car outside is what you're telling me. His car, you don't worry about.
Plaintiff John Farrell says when he picked up his BMW from the defendant's auto repair shop, the trunk was filled with water. He's suing for a damaged car electrical system. Defendant Kevin Hashimi says he doesn't know because the BMW was never outside, and John's scamming him for a new radio system.
All rise. Court is in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Please be seated. Your Honor, the litigants have been sworn in. This is the case of Farrell versus Hashemi.
Thank you, Juan. John Farrell,
Yes, Your Honor.
you were suing the defendant Kevin Hashimi
Yes.
for $2,769 for a damaged car electrical system in your BMW?
Correct.
Okay, and you operate a mechanic shop, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Mr. Farrell, tell me about your case. You're suing the defendant because you say he caused some damages to the electrical system in your BMW, but the car was there for other repairs, right?
Correct.
So just take me from the beginning. What happened here?
So the car was there for a rear bumper replacement. I had been rear-ended in an accident, and I found my way to this mechanic because the driver who hit me pleaded with me not to run it through her insurance.
Okay.
Because she wanted to, get a cheaper deal, I think, and not have the hit on her insurance.
So she decided to pay out of pocket for
Correct.
you to get the repairs, and why did you choose this particular mechanic?
She chose him. She said that she had done work, that this gentleman had done work on her Audi, and it was her Audi that had hit me, and I saw that it was, seemed to be a relatively new, in good shape car, so I decided to take a chance.
And what about your insurance? You didn't want to use your insurance as well?
I honestly didn't submit it to mine either. I mean, I was clearly not at fault, and she admitted fault on the scene because, like I said, she rear-ended me.
Okay. And she had car insurance?
She did. Yeah, we exchanged insurance at the scene. I took her license plate number and her registration. But ultimately, I just decided to, do what I thought was the right thing at the time.
So she suggested this mechanic and that she would pay out of pocket for the repairs to the bumper, and you agreed to that?
I agreed, and not just the repairs, but a rental car so that I could get, because I made the point that if I had just gone to my normal repair shop, which is the BMW dealer, that they would have provided a loaner so that I could get around for work while the work was being done.
How much were the repairs to the bumper?
I honestly don't know. I never saw a bill.
How much were the repairs to the bumper, sir?
$1,500, I think.
$1,500 to repair the bumper. So you never even saw the bill. You took it to him, and she said she would take care of everything.
She took care of the payment for it, correct, on her credit card.
Let me ask you a question. How long have you had this shop, sir?
I have it, this shop, I have it for 35 years.
35 years?
Yes, ma'am.
At this particular location?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you do the repairs to the BMW or someone else in your shop?
I have especially for all cars. I do this job for 54 years.
Okay.
Even my father was a mechanic. I grew up with him. Then I have a lot of experience. And for this 35 years, I have this shop here. Can you check Business Bureau, Yelp, everything? I don't have one complaint. Only the customer come in, like my job, send me the friends, send me the family, come in, same thing.
Okay, so let me stop you there. What you're telling me is you have a stellar reputation in the community for the work that you do, and 35 years of business, you don't have one complaint.
Not even one complaint.
That is impressive.
No.
Everything's word of mouth, and people bring their cars to you because of that. How many people do you have working in your shop, sir?
7.
7 people. Okay, what were the damages to your bumper? What did you hire the defendant to do? I know that another person was paying, but what was he supposed to do?
Well, I think it ultimately was a replacement to the entire bumper. It was because of the impact of the collision. It was
Do you have a
dented
photo
in
of
the
the
back.
car before he repaired it?
I actually do not.
You
No, I'm
don't?
sorry.
Okay. So you were replacing the entire bumper, sir?
We repair it, we not replace it.
Okay, so the bumper was repaired, not replaced, and then painted.
That's right.
Did you ever have to remove the bumper?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so tell me what happens, because you drop the car off on a Friday, you go back on Tuesday. Tell me what happened.
The defendant brought the car around to me. I got in to drive off, and I noticed I didn't hear the radio, which I always leave on. You know, I never turn the radio off when I turn the car off. So I turned it on, and all I heard was some staticky noise. Okay. And even when I sort of turned the radio off and on, I was still hearing staticky noise coming through the audio system of the car.
Okay, and prior to that, you had not heard that noise?
No,
That's your testimony?
not at all. Absolutely.
Okay, and so what did you do? So before you even left the lot at this point, before you even left the property, you did what?
I called the defendant over to say what's happening with the sound in the audio system. The radio won't come on, and the sound won't stop when I turn it off. And he said, well, we didn't do anything with the electrical system or the radio. All we did was the bumper. And I said, I understand that, but this wasn't the problem. There wasn't a problem with this when I dropped it off on Friday.
Okay, and so but you take the car?
I took the car because there was no point, I didn't think, in sitting there and arguing with them any further.
Did you, and you feel that they're responsible for damaging the electrical system in the car. What proof do you have that the system was damaged?
Well, a couple days later, after the audio thing manifested itself, I got a warning light about the passenger restraint system. And I was going to have the audio checked out in due course, but it wasn't a priority. But then when I saw there was a potential safety issue with the passenger restraint warning,
You had never seen that before?
Never, never. And so I took it in as soon as I could to the actual BMW service.
This is what came up in the car?
That is what came up, yeah. I believe that was a day or two after I had picked up the car.
So then you take it to BMW, and what do they tell you?
So they tell me that they've discovered 2 to 3 inches of water sitting in the trunk of my car.
In the trunk?
In the
As
trunk.
of that day when they inspected it?
Yes.
May I see, do you have a report from them?
Yes, I absolutely do.
And they said that as a result of the water, what happened?
They said that it had damaged the amplifier, as well as they believe that there was damage to the battery, which was why I was getting the warning light about the restraint system.
Coming up, the extent of the damage is examined in more detail.
Once I learned that there was water in the trunk of my car, I thought this is the only way I can figure that water would get into the trunk.
Okay, so let me ask you, sir, who did the repairs on the car?
Plaintiff John Farrell says Kevin left his car unprotected in a heavy rain. He's suing for a damaged car electrical system. Defendant Kevin Hashimi says he doesn't know because the BMW was never outside while at his shop.
Where are you saying the water came from, sir?
Yeah. I suspect that either the trunk was somehow left unlatched or open at some point, or something could have been removed. I mean, the BMW service advisor's theory was that possibly a taillight was removed. I'm not saying that's what it was. It could have simply been the trunk having been left open over the weekend.
Did it rain that weekend?
Yeah, so that Sunday, there were historic rains in the Southern California area. I mean, it was one of those, I don't know if you remember, it was the day that Grease Live was on Fox. I remember because I was watching the show. I remember seeing
it was a good show.
they incorporated the rain into the live version of the show. And of course, I didn't really connect it at the moment thinking, oh, I'm worried about my car or anything. But once I learned that there was water in the trunk of my car, I thought this is the only way I can figure that water would get into the trunk.
Okay, so you just put, according to you, you put those pieces together. Right. So let me ask you, sir.
Sure.
That weekend, what happened? Who did the repairs on the car?
Before see my job or whatever, he go inside the car, start the car, he said, my radio is not working.
So he said that immediately when he got in the car?
That's right. Then I said, sir, we do the bumper, we don't do the touching the inside the car radio. He said, no, my radio was working.
Let me ask you this. So was the car outside at all that weekend when it rained on Sunday?
Ma'am, this gentleman bring me the car Friday. Then Saturday, we closing 12 o'clock.
Okay.
Sunday, we closed.
Okay.
Never, ever we put this gentleman car outside.
It was inside, covered?
Inside.
Okay.
Then, I don't know how...
You don't leave cars outside at your
Those kind of car, never. When we working on it, we not leave it outside.
Those kinds of cars?
Yes,
meaning like a BMW, for example?
Doesn't matter, BMW.
But one's car, you leave his car outside is what you're telling me.
No.
His car, you don't worry about.
Don't get me wrong. The car, when we working on it, we not leave it outside. If the car coming, have a big damage, we know it. The car is total loss. The insurance come, pick it up, it's a total loss. Those kind of car, we leave it outside.
But your testimony about this car in particular, you're telling me you were closed on Sunday, you closed at noon on Saturday, and his car was inside. It was not outside exposed to any rain.
No.
According to BMW, right, they have no dog in this fight, there was water in the trunk. Where do you think the water came from? If you were in possession of the car on your property that weekend?
When he called me, he said, I take it to dealer. He said, the amplifier is water in it. I told him, bring it. We look at it, see what is it. He said, I'm not bringing the car anymore.
You didn't do the work on the bumper yourself, right?
No.
Someone else did?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Where is that person?
At the shop.
What time did you leave that Saturday?
I opened the shop, I closed it myself.
You closed it yourself?
I come first, I go last.
What other evidence do you have, sir?
Well, Your Honor, one of the things I just wanted to point out was, he claims that, and his lawyer also claimed in a letter to me that all the cars were always parked inside at the end of the day. I did happen to notice as I was driving by the shop one night, I was going to Culver City just for dinner and to see a play. And I happened to notice there were a lot of cars outside in the lot. And this was after their lawyer had said to me that their practice was to bring them all inside. So I took a closer look. I took some video and some photos just to show that there were, a number of cars, Mercedes-Benzes, Jaguars, all sorts of nice cars. Outside?
After the shop was closed?
At night and after dark.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Coming up on Judge Faith, further evidence puts prior testimony in question.
That car is many years dead.
I don't want you to explain the history of all 12 of these cars in the video. Interesting.
Plaintiff John Farrell says Kevin left his BMW's trunk open and it filled with water. He's suing for a damaged car electrical system. Defendant Kevin Hashimi says he doesn't know because he did a good job, and John's scamming him for a new radio system.
I took some video and some photos just to show that there were, a number of cars, Mercedes-Benzes, Jaguars, all sorts of nice cars outside.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
This Mercedes, the black one, is there for many, many years. We open the window, the people, when drop the car, throw the key inside this car.
Okay.
That car is many years dead.
Sir. I don't want you to explain the history of all 12 of these cars in the video. Interesting. Do you have a letter from the lawyer?
I do.
May I see that letter?
Yes. What's this?
According to your attorney, the bumper was removed from the car and repaired, painted, and then placed back on the car. So you have to have time to make the repairs, you have to have time to paint it, let the paint dry, and then place back on the car. This is what your attorney said. Clearly, your attorney only knows this because he's getting this information from you and your other employees. According to your attorney, it's the policy that all cars that are currently being repaired are placed inside of the business after hours. And so it's your testimony that all the cars in the video are not cars that are being repaired by your shop? Is that your testimony?
Can I say something?
Can you answer the question?
Okay. Yes.
Or is it your testimony, sir? Just yes or no? That all the cars that I saw in the video are not cars under repair by your shop? All of these cars?
Those cars, like 7, 8 of them, is our car. Is long time is there for like maybe 7, 8 years.
Okay, after business hours, these are cars that
those outside all the time.
Those are there all the time?
All the time.
Okay, so those are cars that are not being repaired by your shop?
This is not a running car.
They're not running. They're just old cars. Where do they come from? You just have them
This is the customer bring it. Some of them we buy it. Some of them we leave it there. It's gone.
Here's what we have here. Because this is a tough case. Basically, essentially, in order for you to succeed in this case, I have to credit your testimony. There was nothing wrong with the radio before you brought it to his shop. If that's not the case, then you very quickly came up with the idea to blame this radio problem on the defendant because the statement was made pretty much immediately when he got the car. It's not one of those situations where the plaintiff picked up his car, drove off, 2 days later makes this report. But this is a situation where the plaintiff picks up his car and he makes the statement almost contemporaneously when he turns the car on. Hey, there's a problem with my radio. Indicating to me there's not really time to reflect and try to come up with this story after the fact. But more so than that, would this person try to run this type of scam? Because here I have a person who was in an accident and has decided to use the reference that the other individual in the accident recommended, which was to go to your shop. Not knowing you or anything about your history, sort of put his trust in this recommendation and did that, and this woman paid the repairs. I just don't get the sense that based on that and the contemporaneous statement that he made that there was an issue with the radio immediately, that there wasn't a real legitimate problem at that time that he hadn't noticed before with the radio. Furthermore, what's the cause of the radio and this electrical problem? Well, then he takes the car to the BMW shop just a couple of days later, and I have evidence from them. They have no dog in this fight. He pays them for work. They do the work. And they're the ones that discover that there's water in the trunk, and lo and behold, the bumper was being worked on. The bumper had been removed, and there had been a rainstorm over the weekend when his car was in your shop. This is a circumstantial case, but all of the evidence points to the fact that the water came from the rainstorm that occurred that weekend while the car was in your shop.
Coming up, Judge Faith rules. And now, Judge Faith rules.
So the car could not have been covered or inside the entire time when the repairs were being made, or perhaps after the repairs were made. Clearly the car was outside because it had been subjected to the rain. So I think you probably need to speak to the individual who did the work on the vehicle, because my conclusion in this case is that the damage to the electrical system was caused by the rain, by the water in the trunk, and that water came from the rainstorm that occurred that weekend while the car was in your shop. And the fact that the plaintiff made a statement immediately recognizing there was a problem with the radio, I think it further supports that. So this wasn't something that he came up with after the fact. Listen, I understand this bothers you because you have an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. You're going to keep your A rating because I don't think that anything was done intentionally. I don't think this was nefarious. I think that somehow your worker probably thought that the bumper had been repaired, it was good, but water got into the trunk. So I'm going to hold you responsible. Sir, I'm finished hearing testimony. I'm finished hearing testimony in the case. I'm actually going to hold you responsible for the...
She's going to go over her ruling.
You're not helping your case. You're not helping right now.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So I actually find that the damages to the electrical system were made the weekend that the car was in your shop, sir. So I'm going to order you to pay the amount that the plaintiff had to pay. It's not cheap. An electrical system in a BMW to be repaired, it's not cheap. But based on the estimate that was given and the repairs that were made, my judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,768.89. Good luck.
I know that there was no silver bullet or smoking gun showing exactly what happened. I just know that the car was fine when I brought it in except for the bumper, and there was a problem when I picked it up. I will say that the defendant's shop did fine work on the bumper, so I just want to emphasize I have no complaint about that.
Honestly, that car never, ever we put it outside.
The needle is off the record in this DJ versus DJ dispute.
Even though he still didn't pay me for December and the rest of the part payment for November and January, and he was ducking and dodging me, he still sent me on gigs.
We give you a job and you stab us in the back like that?
You also, if you're going to send him out on gigs, you have to pay him for those gigs.
Plaintiff Cassius Montgomery says his former employer didn't pay for his services as a DJ. He is suing for back pay. Defendant Stephen Corbett is countersuing, saying his former employee didn't show up for gigs, defamed his company, and stole his clients. He is accompanied by his employee, Lakeisha Patterson.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, we have Montgomery versus Corbett.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, Mr. Cassius Montgomery.
Cassius, yes, how you doing?
Good. You are suing the defendant, Stephen Corbett, for $3,000 for unpaid wages, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Corbett, you are countersuing for $5,000 for stolen clientele, lost wages, and defamation?
Yes.
And you also brought a witness with you today, Miss Lakeisha Patton?
Yes, Your
Okay,
Honor.
you can have a seat, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
So, as I understand it, Mr. Montgomery, you worked for the defendant as a DJ?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so why don't you start with telling me about your case?
Okay, I started off DJing back in 2000. I was doing clubs and Sweet 16s and weddings or whatnot.
How did you get involved in DJing?
Just had a love for music and just anything that has to do with music, I just love the vibe of it. Fast forward to December 2012. I got a call from Steven asking me to DJ a Christmas party at this nursing home, and I did it, and we began a business relationship from there on.
Okay, so you have a DJing business.
Yes, ma'am.
And you heard of the plaintiff and hired him as sort of an independent contractor to come out and work for you?
Yes, Your Honor. This particular guy was unemployed in 2012. We hired this guy. We nurtured him, we trained him, we brought him around.
When you say we, you're talking about your business?
When I talk about Black Tie Fairs, we are a company. As a snake, he slandered the business and destroyed the company.
When he says slander, there's no such
Sir, hold on a second, sir. Tell me about your company. When did you start it?
We started Black Tie Fairs back in 2012. And I've done professionally trained as a DJ, done about 1,000 weddings myself. And we've done backyard parties, barbecues, Sweet 16s, you name it.
Okay, where are you based?
Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, do you have a DJ name?
Yes, my name is DJ Cashback.
Cashback?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I know I don't say it with the same swagger that you do, but okay.
That's okay.
And so you heard about DJ Cashback and you decided you wanted to hire him and use him in your company.
No, he was interviewed prior to. He wasn't automatic that way.
He trained me for 2 weeks, and then he said that I was ready to go out on my own.
What does your training consist of?
Figuring out, filling the accounts and the residents, and just knowing what to play and how to present myself to the accounts and stuff.
And is that what you do for all the DJs who come to
There's a
work
system.
for you?
It took him about 6 months to learn the process. It wasn't 2 weeks.
6 months? It wasn't 2 weeks?
He trained and shadowed all the entertainers that worked for me. He shadowed them, he videotaped them, he studied them. We nurtured him, we brought him along.
So
we
when did you send me by myself, Steve?
So hold on a second, sir. So when you say this training, because when I think of a DJ, I think of someone standing at turntables playing music. But what else why do they have to be trained for 6 months?
It's a little different. It's a little different. It's like a music and dance therapy. You have to actually get the seniors to move their arms and their legs. We have a routine that we work with them for at least 30 minutes per session. So DJs that may come, it's almost like I know how to cook hamburgers, but McDonald's has a specific way to cook their Big Mac. We have a specific way that we deliver our entertainment to the nursing homes. You can't just come in and spin music. Anybody can do that, Your Honor.
Okay, so you actually target nursing homes, and you have a clientele that's a lot of nursing homes?
Exactly. That was our market, that pretty much we created. We target the therapy aspect of it.
Right.
Because there's a physiological, psychological, and therapy that goes along with trying to bring memories back with Alzheimer's patients, as well as people that have not moved in years. And then we've come and played a record or two, and they've actually gotten up and moved their arms and legs better than the physical therapy department.
That's nice. I like to hear about people going into nursing homes and working with the elderly. Do you bring a video?
Yes, I have a video
example? Okay,
right now.
Let's look at it. Now, what are we looking at here?
Right now, this is Lakeisha Patton working at one of the homes that we serviced for 5 years. That's in Cassius Montgomery's hands now, and she's working with them, getting them involved, making them, feel good about themselves, dancing with them.
Stephen, could you let them know who's there videotaping that?
Yeah, like I said, we had you shadow Keisha and videotape it, and that's how that was part of your training.
Okay, so tell me, sir, what month and year you began working with the defendant?
December of 2012.
And when did that relationship terminate?
January 2014.
Okay, tell me what happened.
We was working and I was becoming a lot of requested. I was getting requested by a lot of the accounts. And instead of him sending me to the accounts, he would lie and tell them that I was sick. And then I would get a phone call from the activity directors, and they would ask me why didn't I show up today. And I would say, oh, I'm off today. And they would tell me, oh, Stephen just said that you were in the hospital.
Well, I'm glad he brought that up, Your Honor, because I have a statement from one of the activity directors stating that he wasn't available on these days, and he was telling me that he did work those days. So he had a number of no-call, no-shows.
This lawsuit is about days that you say you worked that you were not paid for.
Correct.
So that's what I want to focus on.
Okay. The whole month of November, I worked, and I did what he asked me to do. He sent me out, and the way his payment process...
He sent you out a lot for different projects?
The way his payment process works is that he says that they get paid every 60 to 90 days. We get paid once a month, supposedly, because every month is different. And, I understood, and I took...
Approximately how many DJ jobs would you go out to do in 1 month?
I say between like 20 and 25.
Okay, and what was the agreement on how you would be paid for each gig?
Supposedly it's half.
Coming up on Judge Faith, was somebody double dealing?
Is your relationship with him strictly business?
Yes, it was.
Okay, what do you think now?
Kind of found out they're supposed to be engaged.
Me and Steve basically started dating each other.
Plaintiff Cassius Montgomery is suing his former employer for back pay. Defendant Stephen Corbett says his former employee didn't show up for gigs, defamed his company, and stole his clients.
He was paying you in October?
Yes.
And you say, in your complaint, you say you did not get paid for November?
November, December, and January.
December and January. You
And
received no payments for any gigs in those 3 months?
Correct.
Okay, is that true?
That is not true, Your Honor. Cassius was paid December 14th and December 24th for the November. Because the pay...
He was paid for November on 2 days in December?
Yes, December
What dates
14th
were those?
and December 24th.
Do you have proof of that?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see that, please? And you say that that is incorrect.
That's incorrect because December 1st, I was calling them, and the defendant has a problem with keeping his phone on, so with not being able to contact him, I tried multiple times to contact him through phone calls, text messages, Facebook. I even contacted his mother because that's
Is this I want you to look at this document and tell me if that's your signature on that document.
Yes, this is mine.
Okay, let me see
Now,
this.
you said you paid me for...
This is your evidence, correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I want you to explain to me why this money order is dated December 24th, 2013, but you have written on the money order that this is an October 2nd payment. What does that mean?
because we are paid sporadically. We're paid 30 days after the event. We do get payments that are 30 or 60 days because activity directors
So could it be
hold
the
back.
case that this payment is actually for October 2nd?
Not that
for
particular
October?
payment. What happens is sometimes if there's a money order and I owe you for a particular month, the month will overlap to the next month.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
My issue with this is this money order says it's for October 2nd payment, and so I'm going to assume, sir, that this payment is not for November, that it is for October. What other proof do you have that you went on gigs and you weren't paid?
I turned in some evidence of the text messages of all the gigs through December. So even though he still didn't pay me for December and the rest of the part payment for November and January, he knew that he didn't pay me and he was ducking and dodging me. He still sent me on gigs, which I still completed.
And why would you do that if you weren't being paid? Why would you continue to do work for the defendant?
The reason why I continue doing it, because I enjoy doing what I do, because before I even started working for Steve, I was a caregiver and I was a registered nurse working with the residents before him.
Let me ask you, Mr. Corbett, why did there come a time period where you stopped paying the plaintiff, and what was that about?
He has a relative that works within the facilities that belongs to an organization with the other activity directors. She already knew he DJ'd because she told me he had a problem keeping a job. Once he got trained through us, she decided she wanted to give her relative the business. So he started training his guys on our accounts. So he was sending his guys out, getting trained without my permission after I told him that do not send anyone else
When did
other than
you
yourself.
say you found out about that?
My witness.
I'm sorry, you can step up, ma'am. But I'm asking you, when did you find out about it? Before she speaks to that issue, when did you say you first found out about that?
I heard rumblings about it in November, and we actually took him out to dinner to ask him about it, and he denied it.
Okay.
Not judge.
But you continue to employ him, and you continue to ask him to do gigs for you for months after that.
We had already had a demand established, Your Honor. We already had a demand established.
Okay, but you also, if you're going to send him out on gigs, you have to pay him for those gigs.
Yeah, but if he's not doing the gigs, which we found out and got evidence later, then I told him that he's not going to get paid anything. He didn't get paid for December, and he was fired in January.
You say you fired him, but you still owed him money for gigs, correct?
There was no money owed for December because he sent other DJs.
Any money, when you terminated the relationship, had you paid him for all the gigs that he'd went on your behalf? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
Okay, how much do you owe him?
First of all, there were dates that...
Sir, I'm asking you a question.
It worked out to be about $975 that would have been owed to him.
Now, he says it's more than that. You say it's $975.
Yes.
Why haven't you paid him the $975? You admit that you haven't paid him for his gig.
The reason he did not work these gigs, he sent his team prior to... He wanted to steal the accounts, so he wanted to train his team.
Okay, and when
he
is the
didn't
first...
do the accounts, he sent somebody else.
When is the first time you say you learned of that, sir? Either one of you. By the way, what's your relationship with him?
I work for Steve. I've been working for Steve for the past...
You can stand behind the lectern.
Okay.
You can stand behind the
I've been
lectern.
working for Steve for the last 6 years.
Is your relationship with him strictly business?
Yes, it was.
Okay, what is it now?
Kind of found out they're supposed to be engaged.
Yes. Just recently, within the last, 2 months, me and Steve basically started dating each other. I'm just going to be very honest with you, Your Honor.
Okay. So he is your boyfriend?
Yes, now.
Are you engaged?
Yes.
Okay.
He wanted to look at his lips.
Oh, I'm not going to lie about it.
I know you're not. I'm talking about him. He
Man,
wanted
you're
to lie.
hilarious,
He wanted to
man.
lie.
We give you a job, and you stab us in the back like that?
Next on Judge Faith.
Cassius asked me to come in with him to do a Christmas party at one of the nursing homes that we go to on a regular, and I basically told Cassius, I can't do Steve like that. He may pay you late, but he do pay you.
Plaintiff Cassius Montgomery is suing his former employer for back pay. Defendant Stephen Corbett says his former employee didn't show up for gigs, defamed his company, and stole his clients.
Ma'am, please go on.
I received via phone call from Cassius Montgomery stating that he was going to take over 10 accounts that Black Tie Affairs own, and we've been going to these accounts doing Christmas parties, birthday parties, monthly. Some of the nursing homes have been weekly, and I basically told Steve about it. Cassius asked me to come in with him to do a Christmas party at one of the nursing homes that we go to on a regular, and I basically told Cassius, I can't do Steve like that. No matter me being upset with him or anything like that, he may pay you late, but he do pay you. I'm talking, please do not talk while I'm talking, please.
But if the nursing homes want to hire him individually over your company, what's the problem with that?
He signed a breach of it's a breach of contract.
What contract?
It's a breach of contract that he signed, stated one of the employees for the company went to him, explained everything.
May I see the contract you're referring to?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying that you have some type of non-compete provision in a contract, and that he's not supposed to...
And it's not just, Your Honor, it's not just Cassius Montgomery, it's this team.
Would you show that to the plaintiff, please? Is that your signature?
It's this team that he's putting out of business. We all work together for 6 years.
You forgot you signed that? Well, he's an independent contractor, sir. He's not an employee.
But we all are independent contractors.
I gave him that then.
Okay. Is that one of the reasons why you say you didn't pay him the $975 you admit to owing him?
No, there were damages because of the 30 no calls and no shows that he received with his other DJs that he sent out. They got complaints, which amounts to about...
Sir, did you, on 30 different occasions, did you send out other DJs in your place?
I don't believe it was 30.
How many times?
Probably like 10.
Okay.
Because a lot of the times when Steve...
Are you serious?
So serious. Oh, and to go back to when she said she actually wanted me to, the Christmas party that I asked her to help me DJ, she actually wanted to bring her son in. She was actually on board to do the gig, but instead, because her son they didn't have their own equipment, and she didn't have a car at the time, she said that she wasn't going to be able to do it. This was around the time
I didn't have a car.
You didn't have remember your contract went out.
Miss Patton, you can have a seat. Thank you.
Please have a seat.
You can have a seat. Thank you.
I already know because you're trying to. I know that's
here
your
are the issues in this
but
case.
Don't take it there.
I also reviewed several messages, Facebook messages, and text messages in this case, and all the way up to February of this year, the plaintiff, Mr. Montgomery, repeatedly asked you when he was going to get paid, and you respond, sir, I intend on getting you paid.
Yeah, I told you that when he left, when he was fired from the company, there was
so
a
the issue is how much.
$975 amount.
I want to address something, this confidentiality, non-disclosure, and non-compete agreement. In order for me to find that it is a binding non-compete agreement on the plaintiff, 3 things have to happen. It has to be reasonable in time, geography, and scope. And in your non-compete agreement, all you say is that the plaintiff agrees not to compete with you. You put no time period on that. It's not legal for him to sign a document and say that he will never start his own DJing business in the area of Detroit, that he will never go out on his own and try to hang his own shingle and start his own business. You can't make someone agree to that, and that's what this agreement does. If you're going to have a non-compete agreement in your business and in your contracts, you have to put a time period on it. It has to be for 6 months or a year or some reasonable time period after the employee leaves your company. It also has to be reasonable in geography. It applies to a certain area and in scope. And what I'm saying to you is this clause is way too broad. You can ask someone to never start their own DJing business because of the simple fact that they worked for you, okay?
And now, Judge Faith rules.
You don't have a lot of evidence to show that you went to all these gigs and that you weren't paid for them, and you admitted when I questioned you about it that at least 10 of the gigs that you wanted compensation for, you sent other DJs, and you can't do that either. When someone is trying to run a business and they're putting their name and their image out on the line and they hire you to work for them, you can't send somebody else in your place. I know you're 23 years old and you're trying to make it in this industry, but Detroit is not that large of a city. You don't want to burn bridges, and when you say something and you give somebody your word that you're going to do something, you have to do it. You understand?
Excuse me, but Your Honor.
So On your counterclaim, sir, you have several issues. You have no valid non-compete agreement, no non-solicitation clause, no really valid written agreement between the two of you about what he's supposed to do in terms of his duties not to work for clients on his own outside of the time when he's working for you, and you admit to me that you do owe him money. So, sir, I do appreciate the work that you do. I think you do great work in the nursing homes. You're a DJ. I'm going to put this to you like Jay-Z would. Listen, I feel bad for your son. You got 99 problems, but he ain't one, all right? So your counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment in this case, $1,500 for the plaintiff. Good luck.